Very good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I also wanted to thank all the panelists, Chilman, Christel, Harsimran, and Sneha. Thank you so much for sharing your availability and time for the community. Uh, while people are joining, we'll just quickly introduce the panelist and we'll be having conversation for around 45 to 1 hour. And then we would be opening for questions. So if any one of you have any sort of questions, if you just, Nandita, if you can mute. Okay, yeah. So I'll just introduce the team who's helping us with the interaction today. Sneha Saha is the talent acquisition senior associate at People. She has been in the HR and talent acquisition for around 5 years now. She is currently with People. People is a non-profit based out of Delhi, and they also work in MP. Welcome, Sneha. Good to have you, and we'll also uh, keen to hear from you on what are the things that as an individual or as a candidate we should be careful while approaching any job. Welcome, Sneha.
Thank you
We
so much.
we have Harsimran from Haqdarshak. Harsimran again brings around 5 year experience in the talent acquisition. He is currently with Haqdarshak, and before that he was with Baizu, and before that he also worked with VIP industry. So he also bring that all sort of social impact and non-profit ecosystems understanding, and will be sharing his insights. Welcome, Harshit.
Thank you, Amit.
We have Christel, again, very interesting person. Uh, Christel also bring amazing experience and currently she is with Sattva Consulting. So before Sattva, also she has worked with uh, McKinsey and Bain and BCG, and also bring experience working with unicorns. Currently, she leads the talent acquisition at Sattva, and like Christel and Harsimran, Sneha and Chilman, they're also hiring for various roles, and we'll be hearing how do they make decision and what are these insights can help us. So NNC has been into C-level and leadership or mid-senior hiring. So yeah, welcome, Christel. Excited to hear you as
Thank you, Emma.
well. We have Chilman. Chilman is a great ally to us as well at Ground Zero. She brings around 8 year experience. She is currently with Udhyam, and before Udhyam, she worked with in HR and customer success. She worked with Support as a recruitment success manager. And before that, she also worked with Relevel, which is part of an academy while she was managing client relationships. And she is also, again, keep on looking for talent. She is currently hiring for around 20 roles. So I'm sure there is so much that we can hear, learn, and explore. So welcome, Chilman.
Thank you, Mahala.
Great. While we are gearing up for the conversation, just wanted to assure you that in case if you have any question, instead of unmuting, please put your question in the chat and we'll try to take up that as we get time. But the next 45 minutes is more on interaction, and we would be just listening, understanding if as a candidate, I'm looking for a job. What is something that is emerging in the ecosystem? And when I say ecosystem, it's social impact, non-profit, for-profit, but more on social impact focused. So the first question that I have is, while all four of you have been into the non-profit and social impact space, what are the some of these emerging and often overlooked opportunities in social sector, which as a young individual I should be aware of? So if any one of you want to take and then maybe share your thoughts. Uh, yeah, Harsimran.
Um,
Yeah,
I can get us started if that's okay.
yeah.
Right. Right. So I have been a part of the social sector in the last 2 years, very recently. While I've done recruitment in the past, what I've noticed as a trend for young people, there's a lot of noise around product roles, tech roles in the startup culture and corporates as well, right? What I have started noticing in the last 1.5 years is that same noise is also coming up in the social sector as well, as more and more organizations are moving towards being more tech enabled. And I might, and I'm speaking from my own experience at Udhyam. Um, Another thing that young people should, I think, look at is the field roles. While they're not emerging, but they've always been there. Um, and we always think, hey, this is a field role, क्या करना है? मतलब ground पे जाना पड़ेगा, पूरा दिन travel करना पड़ेगा. But what you don't realize is कि जब आप ground पे जाते हैं, that gives you, especially for freshers, right, who are just getting started with the social sector, who want to do so much. Um, that ground connect, if you join an organization and understand things at the grassroots level, that can be a really strong foundation for you to move upward in that organization or in any other organization. क्योंकि अगर आपको एक बार ground connect समझ में आ गया कि काम कैसे होता है, then it's so much easier to be able to do other roles and connect with stakeholders across. So yeah, these are my 2 bits over here.
Great. Thank you, Chilman. Christel, you want to take?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think I agree with Chilman to a very large extent. I'll just quickly go with start with the basics of how social sector is really divided, right? And I'll just go into then the emerging fields that young people can look at. I think social sector is broadly divided into three parts, guys. The first one is just the field work that Chilman was talking about. A lot of our jobs that are there in social sector, majority of them are actually in field work, where we're going and really seeing the cause and the impact that's happening on ground. The second part is what we call the implementation strategy, which is your groundwork. Who's doing the strategic part of it? Who's organizing it? Who's really planning things around it? Right. That's the implementation strategy, which is the second part of it. Which and the last part of how social sector is organized is pure play strategy, which is done by a few firms where they do anything innovative, right, in terms of just picking up new concepts, new things that are coming in. For example, sustainability for the longest of time was just a concept, right, and then now it's moved to a lot of initiatives and everything around that. So it started with a thought and then it went into ground and all these initiatives. So that's pure play strategy. So these are the three things, three sectors, so as to say, that impact is kind of divided into. I think fellowships is for any young student, any young person to understand the core and the passion for social sector. Because no matter which three you apply for, I think passion is at utmost importance. Even if you have the skill set and the passion is missing, it's going to be a tad bit difficult for you to be able to enter social sector. So it kind of makes sense for you, either while if you're in college, to pick up internships and volunteering opportunities with firms, so that you can actually see the impact on ground and understand a little more about it. Or otherwise, fellowships like TFI and other kinds of fellowships would be a great ground to start off on, to understand the workings of how social sector is.
Thank you, Crystal. Very insightful. Harshi, you want to take up? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, Sneha, you can go ahead.
Right.
No worries.
Yeah. So, adding to this, I think one of the things that I have noticed, particularly, say, as we're talking about emerging opportunities, I think in the last 1 year, what I've noticed is that since the scope of the work is expanding now, the specialized, we are actually hiring for very specific skills. So previously, when hiring was being done, say be it HR or be it even communications, see, we were looking for a generalist profile. But now, as the scope of the work has increased a lot, even recently, like we hired a graphic designer in the communications team. So I don't think like young professionals, they like somebody who's like say becoming a graphic designer would have thought that a social sector can be a space for me. But when we actually posted that role, we realized that there's so much talent, and also because the young generation, they are so well versed with the social media, PR, outreach, SEO, and things like that. So they are actually the right fit for these kind of roles as well. They actually bring in something different. So they're able to think out of the box. So I feel like that kind of specialized hiring, similarly, even in the functional side, recently, like initially when we hired associates, we also used to hire just for the program work. But recently, we ended up hiring associates just for the PMU work, which is just like for government stakeholder management. So I feel like a lot of work is becoming very specialized, and this also brings about the theme that if a young professional wants to focus, if they feel like okay, I instead of mastering everything and being a generalist, I feel like this particular domain of work really interests me. I think they should pick that up and try to get into the specialized stream as well. That would really help them. And that is the emerging trend now, hiring for specialized skills. So I guess that's what I wanted to add.
Great, great. Thank you, Sneha. Harsimran, you want to
Yeah,
add more?
just wanted to add on to what Sneha had mentioned. I mean, at Haqdarshak, we do have marketing and branding department, and there is also a product vertical because we are a tech-assisted social enterprise. So, I mean, there are certain roles which people are not aware of because, uh, I mean, I'll also talk in Hindi because I believe there will be some people. तो होता क्या है कि जैसे हम सोशल सेक्टर सुनते हैं एनजीओ सुनते हैं इमीडिएटली वी थिंक ग्राउंड वर्क होगा फील्ड वर्क होगा बट दैट्स नॉट द केस नाउ we are expanding and we are finding out new ways to do the same thing. So if someone does like deep research, they will know कि और भी options हैं. I mean, we do hire for graphic designers also, data scientists, data engineers. So it's just that it also depends on the intent of the candidate, how well they research about, and they should not look at from a narrow point of view. So that's there. And also, adding on to what Crystal had also mentioned, I mean, we have discussed this before also, right, Mahala, the skill versus the will thing. If you have the skill, that is fine, but you need to have the intention to work in the sector also. And that you will only get once you are connected on the field, and then you will understand what you like, what you don't like, and then you kind of find your own way into the sector. Yeah.
Great. I think what you are sharing is very relevant in terms of what is emerging now. And then there are datas also, which some of these conversation we were having at back end is social sector is one of the like biggest sector which employs people. Generally, people look for railways and defense. So now we are becoming more and more structured as we grow. While you, Christel and Sneha also mentioned about fellowships, uh, is there anything, say like I'm very new to the ecosystem. I just heard from somewhere, or I want to get in because one, if I'm young, I want to be into that space, or say like if I'm in corporate and transitioning, and I think Chilman, you have been into corporate somewhere. Harsimran, you also played your stint with Baizu, and same with Crystal, you have been into that space. Somewhere, Sneha, I don't know, but you bring that global exposure uh, and then transition to nonprofit. If young people need to find and identify relevant opportunities, where should they find? And then maybe you can share, basis your experience, how did you land? Where did you find opportunity? And maybe if you're hiring for your role, for your org, or maybe for other roles, how do we find, identify those opportunities? So yeah, we'll start with Sneha and then Harsi and then Chilman and Crystal. So yeah.
Sure. So when I think about where do you find opportunities, I think this also comes down to how you're supposed to approach your job search. So I think the first thing that I would suggest would be to start with a portfolio of companies. So when you're starting your job search, instead of starting with, say, okay, currently I'm at, say, an associate title, and now my job search, I'm looking for a senior associate title, rather than starting from a title, make your starting point the companies. So do the research on the back end on what are the companies that you are interested in, and then make a portfolio of the companies that you feel that you are aligned with, in the sense that where you feel the kind of impact they are creating is really valuable to you, and you really want to be a part of that impact story yourself. So I would say, and then go do the back end research. So once you know the companies, you've identified the company, then you can reach out to, say, their recruiter, people who are working in their organization, the job boards where they are like, typically, I think all of us, we post our open roles on our careers page. So then, since you know you've identified the company, now you can directly go to the direct sources where their open roles are being posted. And there might be a given situation wherein you might not even find something which is, say, relevant for you. But at least if you reach out to people, because this is a relatively, even now, I would say it was a smaller community. So here, I think people are much more willing on LinkedIn to interact with you, to talk to you and all. So if you reach out to their employees, talk about, okay, this is my profile. Do you think I can fit somewhere? Because employees will definitely be able to guide you in terms of where you can fit in their org, and if there is some kind of fitment or some upcoming thing or something of that sort. So I think that would be my cue in terms of identifying the right companies and making that your starting point when you're the way you're approaching job search, and also to find the right roles for yourself.
Thank you. Yeah. Harshi, you want to go ahead?
Yes, sure. I think before any kind of job search, it's very important that you know yourself very well. आपको पता है कि आप किस चीज में अच्छे हो, किस चीज में आपको नहीं, like something which you can't compromise. So that I would say is the first step, because if you go for the title, if you go for the package, somewhere you're missing the whole point. So I think if you understand that, okay, I'm good with numbers, I should maybe look at something of program management. Okay, I'm good with people, maybe something, on ground roles, maybe HR. So pehle you have to ask yourself, you have to do a lot of introspection, and then you will kind of understand, okay, I think these are my non-negotiables. This is something I'm good at, and then start your research on the basis of that. And as Neha mentioned, build a portfolio, talk to the people, and then you can start writing emails or send connections to the people, and just ask them to review your profile. Don't like straight away ask for jobs. You just tell them that I'm interested. Do you think this kind of skill set or my background would fit into your organization? Because there are a lot of people out in LinkedIn who are genuinely happy to help you. You just need to have the courage to ask, and there is no shame to ask for help, and it's just something you are doing for yourself. So I think knowing yourself and doing your proper research, that would be the first step for any fresher. And then also not have the mindset that any job is beneath me. I mean, that is also something I see in a lot of fresher candidates, that there's a clear resistance that, okay, I can only take these type of roles, but like anything related to maybe, connecting with people on field or going on a lot of travel extensive roles, there is a clear no. So at least in the beginning of your career, you should not have such a resistance. Maybe later you can, have an option, have a choice to say that, okay, no, I would prefer to have a kind of a hybrid kind of model. But you need to have the right kind of exposure right in the beginning so that you know where you fit in the long run. So yeah.
Thanks, Harshi. Chilman, and then Christel. Yeah.
Right. I think both Harsimran and Sneha have shared very relevant and valid points. And this is not just for the social sector, right? If you look about it, you want to look for a job. It's very important that you know what you're getting into or what do you want to do. So whenever I am doing screening calls, this is something that is out of habit, and this is something I've learned over the years. I never ask a candidate that I'm speaking to, key, this is the job, are you interested or not, right? Instead, I go ahead and ask, hey, can you tell me about yourself and what is it that you want to do? If, say, for example, a Neha is looking for a job or a Deepak is looking for a job, what is it that Deepak wants to do? So that gives me a lot of insight in आपको क्या करना है. उसके basis पे maybe this role might not be a fit. But when we come to the question that you had shared, Mahala, कि ढूंढे कहाँ से मिल सकती हैं ये jobs, and from my own experience transitioning from startups to um, sorry, yeah, startups to corporate में काम किया है, startup में काम किया है, and then have come to the social sector. This was all through communities networking. So I knew somebody who referred me for a job saying कि you have this skill, maybe you want to try it out. um, for me, my intent was I want to find a job जहाँ पे ethical काम हो रहा हो, जहाँ पे we're not duping people, and it's for a cause, right? So if you have that intent towards working for a cause, that is one great thing. How do you find things? How do you find such jobs? Identify companies, as Sneha said, कहाँ पे आपको काम करना है? Can you list out the causes you are interested in? Can you list out उन causes को कौन सी company support कर रही हैं आज? And then from there start looking at their career pages उनके website पे. If not that, you've built a wonderful community, and I mean where people can reach out, where you're making sure कि jobs जहाँ से आ सकती हैं social sector में वो आप share कर रहे हैं, right? So that is one great place. Ground Zero has been doing that for a while now, and I've been following Ground Zero since the day Mahala put it out, saying कि कुछ unique कर रहे हैं. So that's one place, and then obviously your usual suspects, आपके other websites like your DevNet, NGO Box, आपके internal networks, your LinkedIn is one of the best places, especially maybe not for a field job, but बाकी की jobs जो specialized skill sets हैं, if you are able to tap all of that, I think that's the best. These are the best places to find these emerging jobs in.
Great. Thank you, Chilman. Christel? Yeah.
I think everyone's pretty much covered all the things, but I'm just going to add a few more names to everyone. I mean, all the platforms that you can potentially look at. I think Ground Zero is definitely one. Job Shop Nest, which is by Maninder. Then Yash has Public Policy India. Fardeen has Opportunity Avenue. These are few platforms that collate all the opportunities. And if you go into sustainability, if you're interested in sustainability, there's specific people who are, if you literally hashtag and write sustainability, you'll come up with a lot of jobs that people collate and send. And similarly for communications, there are one or two people who collate all the comms roles in the social sector specifically, and that will kind of show up again by that hashtag. So I think that will be really helpful for you to get a consolidated, collated opportunity and be able to compare all the opportunities that are out there in the world. But that's one way of knowing. And of course, adding or rather reiterating that you want to, look at the target organizations that you really resonate with, and you know their work, you've done that research, and you want to then really make that effort to apply rather than just randomly applying. I think that's the best way to approach any job search in social sector specifically.
Great. Thank you. I think if I summarize, where do you find jobs is one, definitely look at job board, look at LinkedIn, look at people like Maninder. We also having job board, and then there are others. So what we will do is all the job portals that Chilman, Christel, Hersi, and Sneha mentioned, we'll put them together and send you after this webinar in 24 hours or 48 hours. So that's a great, but very, very good, really insightful around these resources, because all these platforms and spaces bring all the non-profit job together, and the search become easier because the better access you have to information around jobs, your search or maybe your probability of getting shortlisted becomes better. And then when we say get shortlisted, all four of you have been shortlisting, looking for people around. And we also exist because there is lot more people we need in the social sector. And while there are so many people out there who say that they are looking for jobs every day, what is something that you, basis your experience, that you think a candidate who's looking for job, how should they approach so that their chances of getting shortlisted are far, far better? And also, how do you make these choices that who is aligned for the role that you're hiring for? So we'll start with Christel, then Chilman, Harsimran, and Sneha. So yeah, Christel, back to you.
Sure. Thanks. I think it's very important to have a very, very neat, concise, crafted CV. I think it's very important that it's you. We're not really, guys. We're not really looking for fancy photos and fancy coloring and stuff. That's not what we're looking for. We literally have 20, 30 seconds because we have a lot of applications that we're getting, right? You have to get the best out of those 20, 30 seconds, which essentially means we're not looking for a laundry list of the work you've done in that particular company. Rather, we're looking for matrix. For example, I'm just hypothetically saying, if someone's applying for a talent acquisition role, I would say reduced the turnaround time by 50%. Just hypothetical, right? The matrix part of it. What has your work generated in terms of impact for the company? That's what we're looking at, rather than just a laundry list. Like, I've gone and screened people, I've shortlisted these many people, these are the offers I said. That's not what we do. And it comes across as a very smart CV, right? We don't look at paragraphs, we look at bullet points. Someone who's done a clean, concise this, and you get a lot of these templates online for free. You just have to pick them up and utilize them, but make sure you make the best out of it in terms of, and there are various AI tools also that help you generate or at least give you a foundation. Your whole CV should not be a copy paste from Chat GPT. Please ensure you don't do that. We can pretty much we can figure out that it's an AI generated CV, right? So don't do that, and don't use groundbreaking or chattering kind of words that will probably not reflect too well. But use authentic, genuine words, and also make it in a narrative, in a storytelling format, rather than it being just plain simple in that sense. So yeah, I think that I look for very simple, authentic story kind of this. And what really takes me 2 seconds to shortlist is metric driven CVs.
Great, very insightful. I think the time or the buying time becomes very important. So anything that you can showcase in say like 10, 20 seconds or max 30 seconds is the key that help recruiter to find if you are aligned or not aligned. Great, Crystal. Chilman, over to you in yeah.
Thank you. Actually, bang on, Crystal. Metrics is something that you want to see, and you you don't want to look at what you've done. Everybody can write XYZ responsibility kiya hai, but what was the outcome, right? Input is great, but can you also share the outcome so that we understand आप क्या कर पा रहे हैं उतने टाइम में? आपने 6 महीना ही काम किया होगा किसी कंपनी में, due to whatever reason, especially for roles like product, marketing, tech, HR, even field, right? कि आपने कितना trainings किया है, or what is the facilitation you have done? It gives so much clarity. When I talk about resume screening में आपका grammar सही है, don't have flowery words. Again, repeating what Crystal has shared. I have used Chat GPT, I have used Gemini extensively in my emails and my communications, and I'm not saying कि नहीं करो, but there are so many times when we've received resumes जो कि copy pasted है. And I'll move to the second part of it, right, which is application forms. At Udhyam, application forms are very essential. So when we have people, जब लोग apply करते हैं, application forms बहुत essential होते हैं, because हम लोग उसमें बहुत specific कुछ questions पूछते हैं, and we leave it open about, and it's not just आपका CTC क्या है, या आपका what is your notice period. It's more in detail. आप क्या करना चाहते हैं? Why Udhyam? Why? What all have you done in the past? Can you share a success story with us? And in that, I can give you at least 50 such applications जिनमें why Udhyam का आंसर सेम है, because people have put in ये उद्यम है, इसको आंसर कर दो. And there have been times when people have not even thought about it, copy paste कर दिया, question भी आंसर भी from ChatGPT and put in, right? So very basic things, hygiene, resume में basic hygiene about formatting, about the font you are using, about grammatical errors. And अगर आप ये basic hygiene का ध्यान रख लेते हैं, and if you actually genuinely look at the application form and fill it, it helps a lot. Even if you don't have a cover letter, that's okay. Fill in the application form for Udhyam, that works best. There are so many times when we just get so disappointed because जब आप एक application form fill करने का effort नहीं डालते, which would take you 5 minutes, we just think, hey, इनको आता भी होगा काम अगर ये अपने काम के बारे में बता नहीं पा रहे हैं. Do we want to even think about taking them forward? There are times when we reject, there are times when we say, नहीं, but resume अच्छा लग रहा है, ठीक है, can we talk to them, right? Um, yeah, I think that's my two
Yeah,
bits. Thanks.
Chilman, I can resonate with your thoughts because we earlier we had very basic two question and one resume, and we had massive application. And the time we added few more questions, the number of application actually reduced. So, and that also brings another thought. They fill the application form, your chances of getting shortlisted are higher because
Yeah.
the public who generally tend to apply for everything will not apply for these tricky application forms. So your chances become very high when you apply to such detailed application forms. So yeah, great. Harsimran and then Sneha. So yeah.
Yeah, I think most of them have covered the points, but just wanted to share my like personal opinions regarding people getting shortlisted. I personally read all my emails. I like to see how much people have paid attention about applying for the role. Have they done any kind of research and how they talk about their experience? I mean, I keep telling people that try to align your experience with the role and try to make a direct connection. And even if there's not a connection, but at least try to express why are you interested for the role. And I personally prefer cover letters also because I want to know a little more. I deep dive into the background. And yeah, I mean, I also recommend like candidates to tailor the resume as per the role. Like, to give an example, if someone is applying for a growth role at Haqdarshak, which is like the sales and marketing branch, so you talk about fundraising. I mean, obviously, if you have done that, if you're applying for branding roles, you talk about something that you've a campaign you have run. So use relevant experience. As mentioned before, don't put everything. Put only those things which are relevant for the role, and that this is something which should be highlighted, and I'll put it there on top. So yeah, showcase your relevant skills and experience. Personalize your application or emails, and put in your personal examples. And don't use the same format. Like I'm emphasizing this point again and again, but yeah, try to make it more like a personalized application. And I revert to a lot of LinkedIn DMs also. I keep in touch with like candidates. So there was a candidate who was in touch with me on LinkedIn for almost 6 months, and he was following the company. So that also shows that it was just not a one-time thing that, hey, is this role open? I tell them that it's not, but let's stay in touch. So I did hire him eventually after 4 months. But yeah, so following up, following what's the activity that is going on, that also helps and shows your level of interest. So these are some of the things that can be done to kind of put your case forward and getting highlighted and shortlisting. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Harsi. Sneha? Yeah, over to you.
So while I completely agree with what Chilman, Christel, and Harsimran mentioned. For me also, I feel like the CV as well as the cover letter, these are the two most important things when you're approaching a job search. And essentially, like, the CV is what entails your experiences and your skills and qualification, and the cover letter is supposed to show, that's where you can actually stand out and show like what more you can do, what you bring to the organization, and how passionate you are, your motivation to join. That's that's the cover letter is your opportunity to do that. So I definitely feel like these two elements are really important. Apart from this, and like adding to this, what I really feel is important to get shortlisted is to know and apply to the right job. So I feel like a lot of candidates are not reading the JD and just applying. And I think that itself is a very big, as a recruiter, when you see, like, say, I'm recently, like, we've been screening for head of HR and head of fundraising. And I've seen people with 2 years experience applying for head of HR, applying for head of fundraising. And I'm like, okay, how were you thinking? You did not even read the JD. You didn't even, okay, you did not read the JD. You didn't even read the minimum qualifications required for the role, because it clearly says you need X years of experience to apply for this role. So I feel like that itself, people should be much more aware. And while approaching job search, at least what you can do is read the JD, make sure that you do have the minimum qualifications before you're applying. And the way, like, you should approach a JD is that, okay, what are the skills which I have, which the org values, basically the minimum requirements or the skills that the org is looking for, and what are the skills that I am looking to gain, which the org can give me, because you're looking at it from your lens as well, like, what am I here, what am I going to gain from this position? So think about both of these things before you're applying. And when it comes to freshers, because currently we're also speaking about for young professionals, I think it is also very important to identify the thematic areas within the social sector. Because in the social sector, there are multiple areas, like it could be climate, it could be sustainability, so many things are there, like women's welfare, particularly in people, it's education. So there's so many areas. So when you're applying, I think, link your studies or the qualifications that you have, any certificate courses you have done, to the particular thematic area. So currently, like when we hire at our, say, the Amazon Future Engineer program, we are looking for people who come from a tech background. So you can link that, even if you're coming with no work, say, proper full-time work experience, at least you should be able to link that, okay, I have a degree in BTech, so I would be able to apply for this sort of a program, which requires like some kind of technical exposure, which requires coding exposure. So try to link those thematic areas and identify the right job for you before you actually go in to apply, and definitely read the JD thoroughly. Like, that's my biggest tip.
Thanks, Neha. I think what all four of you have mentioned, say from resume to what in resume to how do we approach applying applications or maybe read JDs. Uh, if we don't look at these three, four things, no, these lead to burnout. We keep on applying and don't get to hear or maybe get rejections, and that also happen with us. I mean, so we keep on see people applied for X roles and not getting shortlisted, and that's a worry for us also as an agency. And that's where we see that they're not basic hygiene, and that lead to burnout, because that when we look at our helpline chats or emails, etc., that clearly looks out. So if these some of these things around resume and how do we approach application, these common mistakes, I think, will also help us reduce our burnout, because job hunting is very, very tricky and burnout situation. So that's where uh, also seek connect with your friends of fellow HRs if you know someone to seek guidance or mentorship. With that, I had a follow-up question, which is again, these are some of these things that help people get shortlisted. But while you have been hiring for various roles, what are the general mistakes that as a candidate we make, and where do you think we should avoid those or mistake? Because that will also help you get a talent faster, and as a candidate, I get a job faster. So some of these common mistakes, if you want to share, and then we'll move with Christel, Harsimran, Sneha, and then Chilman. So yeah.
I think the most common mistake candidates tend to do is not prepare enough for the interviews, right? I think there are ample amount of people. So I understand recruiter calls potentially are cold calls, and you might not be prepared enough. I do understand if you're doing a decent enough job, if you've prepared enough in terms of your CV, you know your CV in and out, because you're practically the person preparing it, right? So you know that in and out. I think that's good, but when you walk into a technical interview, especially for a company like Sattva Consulting, you need to know your guess estimates. You need to know, be able to do case studies, and this is in spite of us telling people that please go prepared for the interview. People fail to do that. They go and then they fumble. They've not even prepared. They don't even know how. They just blank out. I think, guys, it's not easy to crack management consulting interviews. It is difficult for a reason, right? And you need to really, really prepare for something like guess estimates and case studies. Otherwise, if you're going to do it a day before the interview, that's not going to fly. That's not going to be possible, right? And similarly, there are a lot of people like who've been asked why Sattva, and they confuse them with Sattva Salapuria, which is the real estate construction thing. That essentially means you don't even know which company you've applied to. You've not even gone and researched. Like, that's basic 101. That's basic 101. And there is no excuse for not knowing what the company is doing. I mean, it's okay to understand only a few aspects of verticals, because maybe not every company tells all their about their work, right? But basic research on LinkedIn about the work they're doing, because everyone talks about the projects, the much talked about projects and stuff like that, and especially the website tells you a lot. I mean, I have never stepped into an interview without having read their website literally word to word, right? I don't feel that you have any excuse not to do the same. So preparation is very, very integral. Please do not go into an interview without a prep, and also be very transparent. I think we recruiters, we're that middlemen, right? Or we're the mediators. We're While we want you to get hired, uh, while we also represent the company, we also want you to get hired, because that's literally a job, right? And that's a relief for us when a job gets closed. I think there's no recruiter who doesn't know that ecstasy of a role closing off in that sense. But guys, I think transparency is super helpful. If you're in other job opportunities, just let us know. We're not gonna penalize you for that. I mean, just being transparent, creating that communication or that connection with the recruiter helps both the recruiter as well as you. And there are a lot of times we actually prep you for the interviews as well. Even though we're not supposed to, we end up doing that a lot because you've created that connection. We give you those insights and tips. So try and build connections with the interviewers. With the recruiters. That's going to really, really help you in the whole scheme of things.
Thank you. Yeah. Harsimran, you want to?
Yeah. So common mistakes that can be avoided. I mean, for me, basically someone, who has not done the research about the role or the company. I mean, literally, we find out within the first 10 seconds if you know about it or not. So, as Crystal mentioned, be transparent. If you don't know, it's okay. I always give, the whole download about the sector, about the company. But if you are trying to fake it, I mean, they say that fake it till you make it, but in certain scenarios it doesn't work. So do your research about the role, about the company, and as mentioned earlier, the matrix, like it's a data driven kind of role. So mention the percentage, mention the numbers, because that will definitely leave an impact, and that will help you. And the basic hygiene checks, the spell checks, the tonality, and how much you've really put into it, because there are a lot of tools now which can tell us how much of the content was AI generated. So make it personalized, do the spell check, hygiene check, and do your research. These are like the bare minimums that someone can do.
Thank you. Sneha and then Chilman. Yeah, I missed out which was the sequence. So taking that liberty, Sneha and then Chilman. So yeah.
So I think one of the things would be like, which is really important when you're approaching job search, and which I think is a common mistake, is that people are not sufficiently detail oriented. So a lot of times I've in fact even opened a cover letter and seen dear HR manager of X organization, like it is not our organization, but it is some other. So they have literally uploaded a document on the portal without even checking the first line of the document. So that itself would be like a clear reject, in that like when you've seen that the person is not detail oriented, which is something which is required for all roles, and any position that you have to take up, you do require the detail orientation. So I think that is one common. I think, Mara, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. I think the video went for a second. Yeah, so I think that is one common mistake which I have noticed. Apart from that, I've also noticed that the way people are treating a cover letter is they just they write a summary of their CV on their cover letter. So they need to understand that, if we just wanted a summary of your CV, we would just look at your CV and we would find everything over there. This for you is how you show your motivation to join the org, what you know about the org, what your research and your how much you have explored at the back end. This is your chance to stand out and show what more you bring to us. So don't think of it as just a copy paste that, okay, this is a summary of my CV. Because as a recruiter, when you're looking at the cover letter, you're just looking at there because you want to find something more. When sometimes it could be that you see like a CV and you feel like, okay, this is like a perfect, everything meets, they meet all the criteria and this would be a perfect fit for the role. However, when you are actually in doubt, you might actually want to know more and see where the motivation element is coming. So I think that is the second thing which I've noticed. And lastly would be lack of confidence. So I feel there are lots of people whom I've noticed that, they would do well in one or two rounds. And when they would go to the senior leadership round, because typically we have a final round with Kruti. So in that round, they would suddenly, they would, not be able to perform and they would not have that confidence. So I think as a, when you're applying to jobs, you need to realize that the company needs you as much as you need this new job. It's a two-way thing. So have that confidence throughout the process, even at the end, when you're even with your interacting with senior leadership, because it is definitely like as a, it is definitely a two-way thing and it's not never a one-sided thing. So I guess those are the three things.
Thanks, Neha. Very, very insightful. Uh, I think one of the funny moment in the morning check-in at Ground Zero, we were just looking and someone from team said that someone uploaded the मैरिज का बायोडाटा शादी का जो शादी.com भेजा था and I think while Crystal is nodding, so it's good that whenever
Happened with me once and I was shocked कि ये भी हो सकता है.
so I mean this is not the mistake that often happen, but good to double check when you any document you apply because this could be a private stuff as well which you get to upload. So always ensure that while uploading, and we'll move to Chilman to here. Yeah.
I think all four of you have covered this completely. When I also look at my notes, it's majorly that, right, when you're applying. I would like to add this also, while these are all pieces that we can do, there's also not just skills, but behavior, your mindset, right, when you're applying. Can you try and be a little open-minded? Saying, hey, this matches with my skills, because there will be times, especially जब आप transition करते हैं, तो you would be at a level in a job, right? You would be a manager, you would be handling a team of people, team lead, whatever. But when you move to the social sector, चीजें बहुत different होती हैं. They work at a very different pace, at a different way. Um, Keep an open mind when you're applying. Just because एक designation में manager नहीं लिखा है, या just because it is an individual contributor role, doesn't mean you shouldn't apply for it, because you never know वो जो job है वो आपको कहाँ ले जाए. And if I were to take my example, I joined as a recruitment specialist, but then very quickly moved into the people and culture team, wherein I did not have a lot of experience in HR, right? I'm a fashion design graduate who has landed into recruitment and now is working with one of the best people in culture teams that I've known in my entire experience. So, open-mindedness is very, very important. If you think you have that, when you apply for roles, do that. That said, please do not blindly apply for roles. आज बैठे हैं लिंक्डइन खोल के, जो दिख रहा है उसमें कीवर्ड सर्च करके मत जॉब ढूंढिए. लाइक you would say you would not be happy with recruiters जब रेज्यूमे स्क्रीन करते हैं तो कीवर्ड सर्च के उस पे करते हैं और हमारे रेज्यूमे या हमारा सीवी रेलेवेंट हो सकता है बट वी गेट रिजेक्टेड. Similarly, when you guys do a keyword search and then start applying for jobs, hashtag कोई भी एक डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर डाल दिया या हैशटैग प्रोग्राम डाल दिया and then you look at all the jobs and start applying, please don't do that. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help us, right? Go into the job again, create a list of companies that are aspirational to you, go into their career pages, उनके बारे में पढ़िए, उनके कौन से programs हैं, because every company has multiple programs running. अगर एक में नहीं तो किसी और में होगा. If you still think कि career page पे कहीं नहीं मिला, but this is one of the companies that you really badly want to work with, can you reach out to a team member? Can you reach out to the HR, right? Maybe go through their website, go through their LinkedIn, उनके कौन partners हैं, उनमें कौन employees हैं, कौन other people that can refer you in that company. Um, Always tap that and as much as you can, but also spam मत करना. Like, don't continue spamming 10 different HRs of 10 different organizations. Again, that doesn't help. Don't blindly go into it. Put some thought behind it and do it. Yeah,
Great.
that's my.
Thank you. I think these are very really helpful insights. While we'll start the Q&A, so those who have questions, some of the question we already got in the chat, we'll be taking one by one. But before we get questions in the chat, we'll just take one minute, all four of us, and maybe can talk about what sort of role currently we are hiring, because I'm sure if we put together all four of us or five of us, we're hiring for more than 100 plus roles. So we can talk about what sort of role currently we have and where do I find those roles. So if you can just take 1 minute, talk about, summarize, and then maybe the links, etc., about your career pages will send to the people who are joining call after this call by tomorrow itself. So yeah, we'll start with Chilman, then Christel, Haqdarshak, and Sneha, Harsimran, and Sneha.
Right. Thanks, Mala. The roles we are hiring for range from your generalist roles, आपके field observer roles हैं जो कि आप education. So we have two major programs that run. One is with education, one is with micro entrepreneurs. So if this is something that you have worked in or you want to get into and want to know more, go to our careers website. As Mahala has said that he will share these roles. But if you look at it, we are hiring for design, we are hiring for operations, हम लोग monitoring and evaluation के लिए hire कर रहे हैं, marketing and comms के लिए hire कर रहे हैं, there's partnerships role, and as I said, tech roles, AI, full stack engineers. These are the kind of roles that Udhyam is right now hiring for, and this is just a shorter list, right? We have our Sure. We have our plan all set. So we are looking at hiring more people. And locations. So Udem works across 14 states in India. So Punjab, Haryana, MP, Uttarakhand, Andhra, Bangalore, Kerala. These are all the places that we're working. And we are open to anyone who's interested, who has the right intent, who understands or wants to know more about how them works and thinks they can contribute. We are happy to have a conversation. Thanks.
Thank you, Chilman. I'll share the link also of the career page of Udhyam Learning Foundation. Crystal, yeah, over to you.
Thanks. So just quick introduction about Sattva and the various verticals. And so we are a management consulting firm. We work in strategy consulting, and we have various verticals like impact measurement and advisory. We have non-profit advisory. These are all advisory, right? So strategy consultants are what we hire for. We don't do work in ground, so we don't look at ground staff and all. So just giving that distinction in that sense. Then we have corporate advisory, which is CSR advisory, and we have sustainability and business advisory. So at this point, we've hired a lot over the past few years. We've doubled, tripled in that sense. But right now, we're only hiring for about approximately 15 roles, which includes the people and culture team. I'm hiring for my own team, and we're also hiring for the HRBP. We're hiring for sustainability and business advisory and corporate advisory as well. We're also looking for a pre-sales role within our non-profit advisory. So that's what it is. We do always have an internship link open, but we don't have any internship opportunities as of now. You feel free to put in your application there, and if something comes up, we'll reach out to you with for that opportunity.
Thank you, Crystal. Harsimran.
Yeah, I mean, we're also trying to expand our HR team. We're looking for HRs in Lucknow, in Bangalore, So it can be, at a associate level, senior associate level. Other than that, we are also hiring for training and development department, which is like a support function to the operations team. So a lot of opportunities to learn and grow over there also. And then we also are hiring for our product vertical technical roles, quality analyst. So that's also something which is at a entry level. So, I will be updating the career website because we've got a couple of positions today only. Those are field roles based in Odisha. So we've got, plenty of options if someone wants to explore. Yeah.
Thanks, Simran. Sneha, we also noticed that you started a fellowship, so also talk about that as well, Sneha.
I'll start with about the roles that we are hiring for. So currently we are hiring across in Delhi as well as Madhya Pradesh. In Madhya Pradesh, it is in Bhopal particularly, but there are a couple of roles which are on field in the different districts as well. And all our roles currently, which are open, most of them except for the functional roles, they are at the like young professional in the sense at the mid level or even at the starting level. So essentially, we're looking for people who have 2 to 4 years of experience when it comes to like our coordinator, senior associate sort of roles, and these are all program roles. And then we're looking for people who have over 5 years of experience when it comes to our managerial roles. And even at the managerial level, we're hiring in both MP as well as in Delhi. And when it comes to the functions, we're actually hiring for head of departments. So we're looking to hire a head of fundraising as well as a head of HR. And apart from that, we're also looking to hire managers on the HR as well as the fundraising team. So specialist or senior specialist of HR and fundraising. And we're also hiring on the monitoring and evaluation team. Here also we're hiring associates as well as project managers and senior project managers. So I think that gives an overall, essentially, I think the org is expanding and we are hiring in like multiple domains currently. Apart from that, yes, recently, thanks for mentioning that, we did recently launch a fellowship program. In fact, 31st March was the last date for the application. So we have actually completed the application process currently. And for this, basically, this is a space so related to the work that Peepul does. So we are essentially looking to create a change in the education system in India. And what we have is we have 3 exemplar schools in Delhi itself. So for these exemplar schools, we are looking, the fellowship essentially involves teaching staff who are going to gain their training. So these are actually fresh graduates who would have either completed their B.Ed or BLED, and they want to gain the practical experience before they're actually able to go into the workspace. So this is the fellowship was launched particularly to help with these sort of students and people who want to go into the teaching line permanently, but they want to gain the practical experience before going into that. So yes, I think, and this is actually our second year of the fellowship. We launched it last year. It went really well. And in fact, the fellows, they wanted to, they actually liked it so much. We extended it to a 2 year program. So now we made our fellowship a 2 year program, wherein the first year is like, okay, you have to, it's a part of the contract. And the second year is optional. So if you want to continue working with us as a fellow and gain more training on the job, then you also can go on for the second year. So yeah, I think that's about it about our open roles. Thank
Great.
you.
I think good that beyond TFA, there are more and more org coming and starting these fellowships. So good. We'll start with Q&A. The first question that I have is he's from Deepak Singh. And this is very, very interesting question. What are the process for shortlisting or scrutinize the application for senior level positions? Plus, do you use ATS platforms, which says shortlisting basis on word matching, etc.? And third is for leadership roles, at least a person who appears in the interview deserve a call or maybe an interview. So any one of you want to, how do you approach and why does it make difficult to speak to any people? I mean, just any one of you want to do. Yeah.
I'm happy to take this up
Yeah.
since leadership hiring is my forte. Deepak, thanks for the question. I think you might be confusing the ATS with and without AI, right? We don't do keyword search when I'm looking at or shortlisting a senior position, leadership position. I don't do that. I literally see the CV end to end with my own 2 eyes, and I shortlisted or rejected basis that. It is so the format, the kind of expectation that we have from a recruiter point of view remain the same, which is what we've covered in the call itself. We don't do a control F. We don't do any keyword searches. It has to be a matrix driven this. It is so basically it shouldn't run. So I've seen a lot of leadership people upload 15-page, 20-page CVs. I'm pretty sure you can't expect us to go through such a long draft document, right? It's okay to have 2-3 pages summarize write the summarized version of the work, and we really admire the amount of work you would have done, right, as a senior professional. But it's very important to have a concise, precise, metric driven CV nevertheless. I think the ATS is so. I'll also explain what an ATS is. It is just a platform to upload your CV and keep that CV in one place and literally move the CVs along, right? In terms of interview, it is not necessarily, I mean, and it gives you, yeah, some of the ATSs give you those ratings, but I don't believe in going solely by the ratings, right? There have been times when they have shown discrepancies as well, where they've rated very good potential candidates as very low rated as well. So any good recruiter will not completely go based that. And typically, if the ratings are there, they're mostly helpful when there are like 5,000 applications pouring in. That will give you the highest 100 people who are most relevant, and that's potentially for early level roles. It's senior level roles, you don't get so many this, and you don't also go on the rating, you go on the literal CV. I think I do agree with the fact that if you have been interviewed, you definitely should get that feedback. I think I'm just going to give my bit from a recruiter point of view here as well, Deepak. The fact is, many a times we don't get the feedback ourselves to share it with you guys. So it's most of the time us literally haggling our hiring managers or interviews and saying, can you please give us something tangible to give back to the candidate? And there are times when we don't get it ourselves, or sometimes it's just not it's a painful feedback that has been shared, right? We don't want to disappoint you. Sometimes we don't want to bring down your confidence. So there are a lot of times when we try and give you, if we have positive feedbacks, we also share that with you guys. I mean, it's sometimes just us stuck in the whole scheme of things, not being able to also share feedback. It's not us not wanting to do it. And we try and do it. If you have been interviewed, we try and definitely do share some kind of feedback with you guys.
Great. Anyone of you want to take respond, or should we move to next question? Anyone of you?
I
Yeah.
think just one thing, like in the way that I would kind of differentiate when I'm hiring for, say, more junior level roles as compared to the senior level roles, is that this concept of like skilled hire versus a potential hire. So when it comes to more junior level roles, I think the potential hire thing does come into play, where I'm okay, when I'm actually looking for the potential as well. Okay, even if they don't have all the specific skills. But when it comes to a more senior level role, I think the skills, this particular skills, the particular years of experience, those kind of play a key role as well when I'm screening for the senior level role. So I think that's one thing, like where I see a clear differentiation in my screening process, yeah, in terms of the level.
Great. Yeah.
Right. If I could add, um, I think when you apply for a leadership role, right, it's apart from your resume, it's also your mindset and the cultural alignment that we seek. So while your resumes can be screened and said, hey, this person has great experience, but when we speak to you on the call, that might not resonate well. And every organization works very differently, right? At Udhyam, culture, and I'm sure at every other organization, culture is very important to maintain. Because even if you have one hire that is not aligned, um, it can disrupt everything that's going right? It can actually destroy teams. So we want to be very conscious about that when we do leadership hiring. I have personally seen we have interviewed more than 10 candidates or more after a very strict screening process. Um, and our interview process takes a good amount of time. I have seen we've interviewed 10 plus candidates and still said, hey, skills work, culture nahi set बैठ रहा है. I don't think we should move forward. And when you have so many years of experience, sharing feedback with you is also tough for us as recruiters. It is one of the most difficult conversations for us to have because you have the skills, you have the experience, but there is no alignment for the role or for the culture within. So when we share, it is also sad for us because जब आप effort डालते हैं किसी role के लिए apply करने के लिए, interview करने के लिए, interviewers, recruiters, HR also puts in an equal amount of effort to get that going for you, right? And हम लोग को fight करना पड़ता है, number one, to get availability from hiring managers to take interviews, क्योंकि उनको अपने hiring करना है, but they have to take out time. So when we fight for all of that, and when we fight, we say we are confident about this candidate, and that's why we want to take them forward, right? तो जब feedback की बात आती है, तो we ourselves हैव टू फाइट फॉर इट। तो हम हर स्टेप पे पूछते हैं क्यों नहीं हुआ, क्या नहीं हुआ, कैसे कर सकते हैं। एंड देन एट टाइम्स नहीं हो पाता है, फीडबैक टाइम पे नहीं आता है, और देर आर अदर प्रायोरिटीज दैट लाइन अप विच डिलेज फीडबैक। इट्स नॉट दैट वी डोंट वांट टू गिव फीडबैक। सो एट टाइम्स दैट माइट also happen that there is a personal issue or there is something bigger happening in the organization due to which we have not been able to get back to you. I think what I would request is, as a recruiter, please have a little more trust and patience on us as well, that we will get back if we can.
Right. I think what you and Crystal and Sneha mentioned, one as a whole ecosystem, some of us on the call are in the leadership roles, uh, and some of who are just starting your career in the social sector. And at some point in life, you'll be making decisions while whom to hire, whom not to hire. And this is, I think, I often speak to people who hire and from program team. So mostly HRs become the facilitator. The program team becomes the decision maker. And when I'm in the leadership, programmatic roles where I make decision, I need to take time and respond to application. So if you are hiring for your org, or maybe if you are in future, these are some of these practices that we need to change, because it's not the HR. Ultimately, it's the programmatic team or someone who make decision, and always it's not the HR. HR plays their role at the first step. So that's something that I can summarize. Then I have next question, and this is from Dheeraj. He says he has spent 4 5 years with Pradhan, which is focused on livelihood. Now he is looking to transition into CSR, social impact consulting role. Despite tailoring CV to ATS and JD requirement, actively applying, but not able to hear back or secure an opportunity. Uh, Harsimran or anyone of you want to take so yeah. Yeah, any one of you want to take up or want to skip? How do you? One, yeah, same, Harsimran.
Yeah, I think the personalized thing, I mean, reaching out to people, this is a good step, attending webinars like this, attending workshops, going to, meetings and connecting with people, because online at one point, it can go only so far. And then when you meet people in person, that has a different impact. So, Deepak, this is a good step. I mean, the kind of resources we are sharing, and but yeah, I mean, try to take actions on it and just not kind of let it go. So reach out to people. I want to mention two more platforms. There is Idealist. I've shared the link on chat, and then there is a Telegram group called Soch Development, which also has close to 7K members. There's a lot of opportunities being shared over there. So if you really pay attention, things are available. You just need to pay attention at the right thing, and don't underestimate the power of networking, and just keep trying. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Mm, all right. Then maybe I'll take the next question, which is from Krupa Harini. Speaking of specialized skill, our first role in the sector may be generalist, exploratory, like the TFI fellowship. Do recruiter accept this experience for specialized role like fundraising? Uh, I have noticed that recruiter look for specific experience for such roles, which are critical, like fundraising. So how do we navigate this? I'll just put the question again on chat. Uh, just,
Um,
yeah, please go ahead.
I'd like to add to this. So whenever you're moving from a generalized role to a and you want to move to a specialized role, and you, तो usually जब आप early on ये कोशिश करते हैं, so it might be at a very basic level that you start with it, because आप अभी तक generalized काम करते आ रहे हैं, and from there now you're trying to move to a very specialized role wherein they will require that specific experience, right? For example, fundraising marketing. Either you would have in your generalist role, a large chunk of your role would have been into fundraising, or you would have worked with somebody to understand that role, which your resume should be able to reflect. If not, maybe when you're talking to a recruiter, maybe, and again, reach out, personalize your conversations, your communications through resume, through LinkedIn, and share. I see this. While I am a generalist, this is where my interest lies. So that potential hiring, I think Sneha mentioned, right? कि जब हम junior level पे roles के लिए hire करते हैं, there's a potential hiring that happens. This is where you can, these are the kind of roles that you can target. So again, being open-minded that while I can apply for a specialized role, it might be at the starting point. As long as you have that in mind and you're comfortable with that, I think then you should be able to bag roles. Internally, I think we've hired somebody who was an intern who has done psychology and now is doing really well at one of the specialized roles, right? So it's not that orgs are not willing to give you that chance to get into specialized, but then you have to start at the base and then move upwards if you're going into specializing, is my suggestion.
Great. Then I have one more question. If this is from Amrita. She is graduated in 2022 and have taken career break for the last 2.5 years because of the personal family situations. Will I be considered till the social science sector job market? So, Amrita, while you are around, Amrita have been very, very great supporter to the community. See, you might have seen she's posting too many jobs in the community itself. So, Amrita, if you want to take maybe unmute and share your question. All right. So I'm just putting the question here if one of you want to respond. Yeah.
Hi, Mala, am I audible?
Yes, now.
So hi, respected panel. So what my question or my query is, post my graduation degree, I passed out in 2022, and post that I had to take care of my father, who is a mentally ill person due to an accident. So right now my concern is, will I be still considered in the social science job market? I have heard from my childhood, it's every time if you pass out in 2022, you have to get into a job in 2022 itself. Otherwise, you are considered a person with, you are having much tougher competition with the other coming up batches. So I'm very concerned about that thing. And it's really dragging, it's really putting my confidence really back. Will I be considered that sort of thing? So how is it a career gap considered in our sector? That is my question.
Thank you, Amrita, for sharing this. I take a go at this. I think we have now evolved from, especially in the social sector, from that mindset, jahan pe you finished 2022 and you've got to get a job, otherwise you don't get anything. Especially when we look at mothers who take time off to take care of their kids. And there are other such roles where people have to take time off and then they get back to it. While I understand they have experience, as long as you're ready to explore roles from the base level and you're open to learn more and you want to give it your all, I think as long as that's there, you shouldn't be worried. So if your intent is there, if there is no will issue, uh, then that's not a worry that you should have. Uh, so yeah, don't think too much about it. Go ahead, apply. I'm sure something will come your way for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adding to what Chilman mentioned, I think what you should just focus on is you apply to the entry level jobs because you have no prior experience. So just make sure that you're applying to the entry level ones. And what I would suggest, I mean, what I do tend to do is, any recruiter that goes through your CV will wonder what happened, right, in the 3 years. If you could just add one line there saying that you were taking care of a family member, you don't have to tell the whole things. You can always go on the recruiter call and tell, but it's just a line saying that this is the reason for your gap. I think you will face no issues in terms of shortlisting. If you have the skill set, you've done everything in terms of this. I see no issue in this, in you getting shortlisted in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I have done from 2017 onwards, I have been in this social science area. I'm a graduate from Tata Institute of Social Science, and then I did my master's again in rural development. So from 2017 onwards till 2023, I have done various internships. All my vacations were in the behind internships and trying to learn because I wanted to know my sector much better. So I kept on doing it. But since this 2 years where I was taking care of my dad, like a full-time role, not even a 8-hour shift. It's my 24-hour shift with family responsibility. I'm the elder one. So that made me a bit, oh, I'm missing out on this internship things and the opportunities I have on my way. So that took a bit toll on me. That's the real thing that's happened behind the
No, no,
screen.
Amrita, don't worry. I don't think anyone's going to penalize you for that, or for that matter, going to judge you for this. I think post-COVID, we've realized a lot about life, right? And I think if people don't, then that's their loss, to be very honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't worry about it. Don't be, you don't need to, you just mention it in your CV. I don't think it should create an issue.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Harsimran, you unmuted. You had some thought, please. Yes.
No, I mean, I just wanted to add one point that, in the social sector, and as a recruiter also, we have a kind of a built-in thing of empathy. Like I genuinely read everything, and I have come across, people, and I try to do my best to help people out, at least give them a direction if it doesn't work out in our organization. So don't shy away. Just, reach out to people. You will definitely find the right people, the right opportunity waiting for you, because there are good people out there who are willing to help you.
Thank you. So with that, we'll just summarize the conversation. One, definitely, if you're just starting your career, look for spaces, look for entry-level jobs, look for fellowships, and look for job board and people who keep on sharing jobs. So keep on looking for those spaces. If you want to get shortlisted, some of these very basic things that the panel had said is ensure your resume are readable, ensure they are informate, they are not fancy, they're very simple. Ensure while applying, ensure you fill details. Use ChatGPT, but don't use it everything. Put your brain as well on work. And the common mistakes, like we said, prepare for interviews. Some of these things, like while you go for interview, do read about work, do read about the job description, because if you don't read, that's a bigger chance that you're losing out. If it's a big application form that you need to fill for any job application, do take that risk, because that has a high reward, high chances of getting shortlisted. Uh, and Also wanted to thank you, all four of you, Sneha, Harsimran, Christel, and Chilman, for taking out time the midweek and sharing your thoughts, sharing about the work opportunity, and also sharing your insights, which are generally we don't get time to hear your story, which is, see, if I can take out one example, is that you are one of the facilitator while someone is applying for a job and helping, or maybe are on the candidate side. So uh, thank you for sharing your insights as well. Also wanted to appreciate the patience of the people who are on the call. Last, I think approximately 70, 80 minutes. You have been around, kept on mute, sharing insights or question on chat. I'm sure this is worth your time. Also wanted to appreciate all of you for being on time and joining for this conversation. As an action item, what we as a team would be doing is all those who have registered and are on the call will be sharing the links that we discussed around job board, current openings with all the four orgs that the panelists are representing, and we'll be sharing those resources in 24-48 hours max on the email ID that you used while registering for this webinar. Uh, if you are, and I'm sure all of you are on LinkedIn, do connect with Christel, Chilman, Harsimran, and Sneha. They're very active. Do reach out, explore their career piece, and connect with them and see if there are some synergies. Look for thematic alignment and experiences and other thing which the panel uh, shared. And I'm sure this conversation will have a lot more for all of us together. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for your time and commitment to help the ecosystem. So thank you.
Thank you, Mahala, for providing the platform and always being the pioneer in engaging dialogues and having discussions, because we need more of these conversations going around. I'm sure everyone took something away from this, and you have been a wonderful host as always. So thank you.
Thanks, Mahala, for including me in this panel. And this has been insightful. While I've heard uh, everyone on the panel, their names, how they've been working, and have noticed them, but never had a chance to connect and sit together and discuss about these things. And I hold recruitment very close to my heart. So thank you for giving this opportunity and bringing us all together. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, Chilman, Christel, Harsimran. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. For your closing.